Hello. So here we have cosine of pi over 8. Just as before, this is going to be cosine of pi over 4 divided by 2. So this will be, since we're in quadrant 1, we will use the positive component. We have 1 plus cosine of pi over 4 divided by 2. So cosine of pi over 4 is radical 2 over 2, and all of this is times by 1/2, and it's a square root. So cosine of pi over 8 is equal to, well, this is going to be 2 plus radical 2 over 2 times 1/2. So we will end up with square root of 2 plus square root of 2. And the denominator, I will have the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Even though there are a lot of 2's in there, this cannot be simplified because your numerator is not an even number. Tangent of pi over 8, this is tangent of pi over 4 divided by 2. And so we have, let's go with 1 minus cosine of pi over 4 divided by sine of pi over 4, just because. This is 1 minus radical 2 over 2 divided by radical 2 over 2. So that tangent of pi over 8 is equal to, we have 2 minus radical 2 over 2 all over radical 2 over 2. So these simplify out. So we have 2 minus radical 2 divided by radical 2. And then if we were to rationalize the denominator, we see that tangent of pi over 8 is equal to 2 radical 2 minus 2 divided by 2, which will be okay. Sine of 165 degrees. So this is probably a half angle. So this is sine of 330 degrees divided by 2. Now 330 degrees because 30 more degrees and we are back at the horizontal axis. Okay, so we will want the negative component. Okay, so this will be negative 1, and so these values, this is going to be negative 1/2, and this will be radical 3 over 2 and 1. It's your 30, 60, 90 triangle configuration. So this is 1 minus cosine is going to be radical 3 over 2. All of this is times 1/2, and all of this has the radical. So we have negative 2 minus radical 3 over 2 times 1/2. 1 minus this is the same thing as 2 over 2 minus this. Okay. So that sine of 135 degrees is equal to negative square root of 2 minus radical 3, all divided by 2. Because 2 times 2 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. 16b. So this is the same thing as cosine of 330 degrees divided by 2. I'm going to use the same triangle up here, or the same so that cosine is positive, so it will be 1 plus cosine of alpha, which would be radical 3 over 2, and all of this is divided by 2 or multiplied by 1/2, so that this will be 2 plus radical 3 divided by 2. Okay. Tangent. So this is going to be tangent of 330 degrees divided by 2. Let's go ahead and use the same so that tangent of 165 degrees. So let's go with sine of 330 degrees divided by 1 plus cosine of 330 degrees. Okay, so sine is going to be negative 1/2 divided by 1 plus radical 3 over 2. Multiply this by 2 over 2. And we get that tangent of 165 degrees is equal to negative 1 divided by 2 plus radical 3. Rationalize the denominator. And we have radical 3 minus 2 in the numerator. And square the first term, square the second term, and negate the 2. And this tells us we have radical 3 minus 2. Multiplying difference of squares. Square the first term, square the second term, negate the 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. So for this next group of problems, we will refer to these two triangles with theta, beta, S, and T. So we need to find sine of 2t. Okay, so sine of 2t, this is going to be 2 sine t cosine t. So we have 2 times sine of t. We have a missing part here. So we need 7 squared plus 24 squared is equal to your hypotenuse squared. And this tells us that our hypotenuse is 25. Let's see, that one's finished. Okay. So sine of t is going to be 7 over 25. And then times cosine of t is 24 over 25, which will be 625 in the denominator. And in the numerator, we have 48 times 7, 336. Since your numerator is 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, and your denominator is a product of 5s, your numerator has no 5s, this fraction cannot be simplified. That is the answer. 18b, cosine 2t. So let's go with cosine squared t minus sine squared t. So cosine of t is 7 over 25. And we're squaring this, minus sine. I'm sorry. This is not cosine. Cosine would be 24. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's adjacent over hypotenuse is the cosine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we have 576 minus 49 over 625. Which would be 527 over 625. And again, this denominator is a product of 5s. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. And the numerator has no 5s, so this fraction cannot be simplified. Tangent of 2t. So this is 2 tangent of t divided by 1 minus tangent squared of t. Okay. So that tangent of 2t is equal to 2 times tangent of t is going to be opposite over adjacent, 7 over 24, all divided by 1 minus 7 over 24 quantity squared. So this would be 7 over 12 in the numerator divided by 576. Yes. Multiply this by and then this would mean that tangent of 2t is equal to here's your numerator. There's your denominator. 576 divided by 12 is 48. 48 times 7 is 336. The denominator, the 576 simplify each other out, leaving 527. $336 is 7 times 48. 48 is 3 times 16. And so a 3, a 2, and a 7 need to factor out of your numerator and your denominator. This cannot be simplified, but let me show you what this is giving. So 336 is going to be 2 to the 4th power times 3 times 7. Your denominator is not divisible by 2. Your denominator is not divisible by 3 because 7 plus 2 is 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 is not divisible by 3. And it is not divisible by 7. Therefore, this cannot be simplified. That is the final answer. Sine of 2s. I think this will be the last one I do because it's hopefully you're seeing the same pattern. So sine of 2s, this is equal to 2 sine s cosine s. So that sine of 2s is going to be 2 times, what is sine of s? So we go up to the s angle. Sine is going to be opposite over a hypotenuse. 24 over 25. And cosine of s, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So the denominator is 625. The numerator is going to be 48 times 7, which would be 336. This fraction cannot be simplified because, again, your denominator is just a product of 5s, and your numerator does not have any factor of 5 in it. Thank you very much. Please go to tutoring.